Hey guys, what's going on? Nananki here, bringing you another round of Kerbal Space Program. On the last episode of our mission to Eve, we managed to arrive at Eve and get into a parking orbit at the expense of, 2/3 of our fuel. A lot more than I expected. Maybe aero braking would have been the best choice after all. So without further ado, I bring you an episode that actually contains events other than parking in orbit. Hopefully a little bit more exciting than the last one. I have to admit, even when I rewatched, I was like, this is not a very eventful episode, so from this point forward, I'm going to try to keep them a little bit more action-packed and cut out a little bit more of the in-between stuffs. So, on with the show. 132 and 120, and it looks like we're not in the atmosphere. I see no atmospheric indicators. Let's take a look at our barometer. Actually, rather than guessing its things, we do have one of those on one of these. Yeah, in a vacuum. Excellent, excellent. Okay, good. We're not skimming the atmosphere. We're not going to have a decaying orbit. Fantastic. Where do we want to try to land this thing? And what I'll do to save fuel in the lander is use the main drive section to drop our orbit into the atmosphere, or what I'm going to cross my fingers is in the atmosphere. Then immediately disconnect the lander, move it slightly out of the path of the main drive section, and then reestablish an orbit that is hopefully out of the atmosphere. I like the way as far as we are from Kerbin, it still shows me flags that are planted way off in the distance. I mean, if we zoom way, way out, I guess we're not that much in the distance. It's just kind of hard to tell exactly. Wow, that's a hell of a sight. Wow. Glowy much? Well, we already quick saved. Screw it. At least I think we did. Alright, 94. At that point, I bet we'll end up in the water. Let's do it a little bit farther. Don't be drifting on me now. I don't like that. I don't appreciate it. That has got to be in the atmosphere, so it'd almost be in the atmosphere of Kerbin. So now we just need to decouple, which is the next stage. We'll use the RCS to move this thing rather than fuel. Precious, precious fuel. There we go. 120 again. 129. Perfect. Back to the lander. Alright, Bob. We're doing this thing. It's happening. Oh, wait. Altitude. Atmosphere. I see the little needle is on the second peg now. Is this thing just not updating? No, it's... Or was it just pointed there the whole time and I'm just being oblivious? That's also possible. No, we're into physical time acceleration, so we're touching the atmosphere. Albeit apparently in a very, very minute way. We are definitely in the landing process now. Without burning our engines, our orbit will decay until we impact the surface. That is now a certainty. Still claiming we are in a vacuum. It's like, really? Well, what's pushing my ship then? However, you can have multiple of the same type, like crew reports, as long as they're from different places. Oh wow, look at the sunrise. Got yellow and purple and green. That's just lovely. It's downright beautiful. Got some camera changes. Yeah, wow. Sunsets and sunrises on Eve are a thing of beauty, I must admit. Upper atmosphere, okay, let's keep that data. I think I'm going to be too busy in the lower atmosphere to do any kind of readings on the way down, so we'll just have to do everything else at the surface. And we got another Science Junior and Goo experiment waiting to be utilized. Oh, re-entry effects. Upper atmosphere, keep data, Goo, keep data, can't do a gravity scan, already did a barometer reading, and a temperature reading, and you can't do seismic when you're not on something, so I think that's about that for now. Yeah, it looks like we're going to be okay on landing. Yeah, this thing's going to be past the shore. Awesome. Awesome on that front. Yeah, I'm kind of not deploying parachutes with this kind of fire going on. I don't think they'd have a big problem, but all the same, I'm losing velocity plenty fast. Man, this atmosphere really is like a soup. Well, might as well drop the chutes, I suppose. Get the landing legs down, and we ended up being quite a ways from the ocean in the end. Man, I would probably be happier if we were landing on this peak over here and not in the valley next to it, but you know what? It's gonna just have to be good enough. It looks quilted, almost. The terrain patterning. Well, we know that we're more than 500 meters above the surface because the chutes have not fully deployed yet, so... Yep, there's our shadow. Well, keep your fingers crossed. The moment of truth approaches. Hey, alright. You know, if you had to worry about lines getting tangled and so forth in this game, chutes like this would not be a thing. Alright, 6 meters per second, that's gotta be slow enough. Even with 2x gravity or whatever the hell we're dealing with here. I am going to turn on the SAS to stabilize the landing. Oh yeah, smooth as silk. No problems. Okay, get these solar panels back out for the purposes of energy. Fantastic. And while we're at it, extend a whole bunch of ladders. I'm not as excited about this as I should be, because now I'm just thinking that we're not going to be able to leave. Bob, time to step out. Wow, a little bit of a yo-yo effect there. Let's see, EVA report. Well, technically I'm flying above Eve, quote-unquote. That's cool. Let's store that data, shall we? And climb down and walk on the surface. Whoa.
Knee! That's my knee! Damn it! Shit!
Might have helped if we had extended all the ladders. Let's just call that the glitch for this mission, shall we? I'm okay with that being the glitch for this mission. What a desolate landscape, though. Just purple dirt in all directions. Shifting purple dirt, no less. Kind of vibrates slightly. Not sure what that's about. That is a lot of science. Very cool. Alright, Goo, what do you have to tell me? Ah, come on, you should give me some kind of special observation for being on the surface of Eve. It took so much effort to get here. Yep. Crushes down on the instrumentation. I don't like the way that sounds. So it's not a dead planet, it's got seismic activity. What's the temperature look like? Very cold and hot enough to boil water. Yikes. I don't know about Kerbals, but we're made of mostly water, so that's pretty worrisome. Alright, let's go ahead and go collect all that data, as well as take a surface sample and a surface EVA report. This time he won't fall halfway to the surface. How awful would it have been if he died from that impact? God, I don't even want to think about it. Let's plant a flag, shall we? Bob on Eve. Only fell about 10 feet. Tough guy. And an EVA report for the surface. I feel like you're changing color. And a surface sample. Cool. And time to go collect all the science out of all the instruments and whatnot. By my estimation, we're done here. I mean, there's really not much to see. Just massive expanses of purple, a deep blue purple sky. Yep, not much more really to look at. Granted, it's pretty cool stuff, but yeah, I don't know what kind of effect the ladders have on aerodynamics, so I'm kind of just retracting them out of an abundance of cautions, because I've designed the ship to ditch these on the surface. They're the next stage after I activate the engines, so make sure I'll throttle down all the way. And then, might as well just ditch them, because we're done with them. I mean, nothing more can be done. Science-wise, I've already got all my readings and stored them all. And I'm sure these things will blow up given the gravity on this place. So let's watch that happen. Haha! Explosions! Fantastic. We'll be leaving around some goo containers, it looks like. Alright, let's quick save again. Because I have a funny feeling like we'll be reloading the save. And make our first attempt at leaving Eve. Let's see what comes of it. That is not much in the way of velocity. We don't want to bend that way, we want to bend the other way. See, we're already screwing up. Wonderful. Oh well, we'll get an idea of how perfectly we have to do this based on how this one goes. We don't want to do much of a gravity roll yet because we just want to get out of the atmosphere. That's like priority number one. Yeah, I do not see this happening on this attempt. What is with this pressure? It's like wanting to go all over the place. This thing was relatively stable on Kerbin. Yeah, why is it wanting to tilt over so desperately? What the hell? What is wrong here? This is not cool at all. Seriously, what is wrong with this thing? I mean, I tested this with and without. Yeah, this is totally not acceptable. Well, you know, F9 is the same button to reload quick saves as it is to record, and after like 3 screwed up launches, I failed to hit it again. But I'll just show you the whole process again after this by reloading the save. But suffice to say, I do not have nearly enough launch strength in this thing to get into orbit. Not even close. This is a completely lost cause with this ship. Which means, yes, Bob, the look on your face is completely appropriate. This is insufficient to get you off this planet. I'm very sorry. We will have to be building a much more robust lander and sending it to rescue you. Man, I'm really disappointed I didn't record that whole process, because you can hear me go from optimistic to completely accepting of the inevitable pretty quickly. Gear up. You know, this stage doesn't have a bad amount of thrust to it, but we end up running out of fuel, and it's just not okay. It's just not nearly enough to get up. Like, not even trying to get in orbit, just trying to get out of the atmosphere is not even close to happening with this ship. And this thing has enough delta V in it to get off of Kerbin and out of Kerbin's sphere of influence, out into interplanetary space, just on the aerospikes in the middle section. And I never in my wildest dreams thought that Eve was going to be so much more difficult. I guess it's, you know, it's exponentially harder to get off of than Kerbin. Yeah, once you get rid of those, you see we start losing speed, not gaining it. And it levels off. We're not dropping. I mean, we're still going up, but not nearly fast enough. So we're going to have to add like a third stage of rockets with aerospikes to deal with this monster. This planet is a monster. I think what I am going to do is combine those into a single stage, because we don't have any time to waste trying to get this perfect. Like, it needs to just go. I'd like to see at least how far up we get, because the atmosphere started somewhere around like 90,000, I think. There we go. You see, even at maximum throttle, at maximum thrust, we are not getting anywhere near what we need. And that's it. After that, the only stage I've got left is what I intended to land on Kerbin with. Oh look, we have more atmospheric drag than does the stage below us. Well, I see no good reason to leave this thing in this state, so I'm going to go ahead and quick load back to our last. This way, if we have a problem getting the landers close to each other, I can fly across part of the surface with this thing. But for the moment, Bob, you are staying here. I hope you enjoy the vista, because you're going to be viewing it for a while yet. This many aerospike engines and this much fuel. Wow, that's not the kind of landing I was hoping for. So, more landing legs, and maybe some thrust as well. It looks like it's crawling across the surface. Are you done yet? No? Okay. Obviously my work is not yet complete. Probably just some more landing legs will do the trick, to be honest. I don't think I have that much more to do on this. It might not look like it, but I think I'm just about there. Let's physical time warp. There you go. Look at Geo friend. He's like, I'm not happy. This isn't cool. This isn't what I signed up for at all. Physical time acceleration does funny things, man. It amplifies the physics as opposed to speeding everything up and dividing the physics by the time. Yeah, physical time acceleration. Funny stuff. Yep. Next time we'll be refining this up, getting it perfect on Kerbin, and then taking it to Eve to save Bob, and probably taking a third ship to have enough fuel, because to take this massive lander, I'm not going to have any fuel by the time I get there and break. Yeah, not going to be a thing. At least I know where the atmosphere begins now, so maybe I could try to aero brake. At this point, I don't feel so bad about exploiting the engine of Kerbal quite so much, since it's sticking Bob in a desperate situation. We're going to do what needs to be done. Well, it's a good thing that Kerbals don't eat or drink or respirate, for that matter, because Bob just has to chill. He doesn't have to do anything else, or boil, I guess, depending on the current conditions at that moment. The temperature scan said it was both hot and boiling on Eve. Yeah, I don't know what to think about that. Anyway, next time, we will be going to rescue Bob, utilizing my newly designed Bob Saver 2.6, I think, just how many iterations I went through before I got one that was completely functional. The fuel lines were a nightmare. Trying to get, whenever you have multiple fuel lines feeding in kind of any kind of circle, the game wants to ignore either the left or the right side. You have to like use redundant fuel lines to get it to feed properly. Anyway, next time on Kerbal Space Program, second mission to Eve, this time to save Bob. Thank you so much for watching, I do greatly appreciate it. As always, do like it if you liked it, and I will catch you next time. Peace.